Right.
Thank you, Brother Suleiman. It's always good to be recognized by your brothers. I've been told I have 2 to 3 minutes to speak, and I promise to take no longer than that, but my name is Harold, and I use the TEPS. I am the Director of Commerce for the City of Philadelphia. Prior to that, I was CEO of PRWT Service. But let me put my commerce hat on, and my job is to represent all 1.6 million residents of Philadelphia. But I always say this also: I've been black for 65 years, so I can't lose sight of that is my reality. And I was black way longer before I was Commerce Director. So there's a couple of things I would say to anybody who resides in Philadelphia or anywhere around. If you want to help us improve the economy of Philadelphia, spend every dollar you can in the city of Philadelphia. Okay? We don't need to take your money to Montgomery County, to Cherry Hill, to King of Prussia. We need you to spend your money in Philadelphia. That's number one. Now, number two, last time I checked, almost everybody in this room appears to be of African American descent. We just call them black folk. So what I need you to really do is to support black business. Okay? Every dollar you can possibly spend with black business, you should spend with black business. And I guarantee you, if you spent every dollar you possibly could, you couldn't spend the majority of your dollars because of the generational, institutional racism and other things that have caused us to be under wealth oriented. So if we're going to fix our problems, and our speaker will talk about that, we can do that by where and with whom we spend our money. And the more we spend it with each other, the more jobs we can create. All right? So we are going into the season where you will spend a lot of money. Many of you have already started with going back to school clothes and all the other things. Again, go out of your way. Start with, if you wear glasses, buy them from Omega Optical and every other black business that's in this room. So Maggie's going to talk more about it. Let me get on to my duty. My duty is to introduce the speaker. So when I was president and CEO of PRWT, I had the wherewithal to have discretionary dollars at my disposal, and met this woman out of Chicago who quit her job to go on this national campaign to be the chief advocate about buying from black businesses. Now, I've known Maggie now, it's probably 5 or 6 years, somewhere around that length of time, and I do not know anybody else, none whatsoever, who is more passionate about the subject. Baby Earl would be in the same category. Okay? But there are a few people, but tonight it's about Maggie, who is from Chicago, about their commitment to this agenda. Now, she wrote a book, and she'll talk more about that and what she learned about what we do and what we don't do. But let me say this about Maggie. She walks the talk. And if we were to follow her lead, we could create a lot of jobs and improve our neighborhoods. But let me close by saying the following, because she's doing it. This is not work for the light of heart, okay? And this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. It took us decades to get to this plight, and it's going to take us a couple of decades to resolve it. But we'll do it one day at a time, and it starts with how we choose to spend our money. And there's no better champion to talk about what we need to do and how we need to do it, and what she learned when she led this initiative through her research and her book. And I would like to introduce you and reintroduce to others an outstanding, phenomenal woman, Maggie Anderson.
All right.
Good evening, Philadelphia. Always so nice to come back to my second home. This truly is, as I speak all over the country, my favorite city. I really have a lot of friends here. So many of them came together to put on tonight's affair. But for those of you who do not know me, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Maggie Anderson, and yes, like the invitation said, my family took a stand to completely live off black businesses, support black professionals, and buy black-made products for an entire year. Here are some highlights from that year. We spent or otherwise invested $94,000 with black-owned businesses that we would not have otherwise. Over 90% of our spending went directly into poor, underserved black areas. We went without. We were disappointed by the number of markets and industries where we still suffer from a complete lack of representation. We're disheartened by our own people's lack of pride and solidarity. Our hearts ached seeing up close what black people, our people, have to go through in these retail and food deserts. Can't get a decent piece of fish or a banana. Forced to settle for inferior goods and services doled out from under bulletproof glass from people who won't live with us, sometimes don't even hire us, but use our money to send their kids to college. It was fearful being called a racist, a Nazi, and the other N-word, getting death threats and hate mail, the horrible things they said about me and my children online. Humiliating taking CBS News and CNN and PBS NewsHour through the black areas of Chicago. Thugs on the corner, drug addicts wandering on the streets, listless kids with no direction or oversight, and watching them shake their heads. Very nice white correspondents and camera crews as we went door to door, business to business, on the west side of Chicago. Hi, we're doing a story on black-owned businesses. May we meet your owner? And go on blocks, sometimes miles, on the west side of Chicago before encountering a black proprietor. And it still hurts my heart when I think about what I put my little girls through, who were 2 and 3 then. They were going to school crying because their shoes were too tight, belly poking out of their shirts, because it took us 5 months to find one black-owned spot in all of Chicago that sold toddler clothing and shoes. And I made them eat gas station food like beef jerky and overprocessed meats and overpriced cereal for dinner, because the one black-owned grocery store we could find in all of Chicago closed 5 months before we finished our year. All of the businesses we lived off of and loved that year, they're gone now. All of those businesses. So we lost a lot in the empowerment experiment, but we learned a lot too. We lived and breathed the racial divides that still exist in this economy, the racist exploitation of black neighborhoods and the raiding of black wealth, the systematic neglect and subjugation of black-owned businesses. We lived and exposed the discrimination and the unfair challenges our black-owned businesses face. All of it was so daunting, so depressing, devastating, really. But what could one couple do about all of that? But we also learned that in the Asian American community, the dollar circulates among that community's banks and retailers and professionals for about 28 days before it goes outside. Our Jewish friends, they keep their dollar for 21 days before it goes outside. Our other ethnic Europeans, say your Italians, Jewish people, Polish people, Greeks, they keep their dollar for about 15 to 17 days. Our Hispanic brothers and sisters, a week. We keep our dollar for 6 hours. In the black community, the dollar lives for 6 hours. That's a really sad fact, and that fact has devastating impacts. And that's a fact that we can do something about. So the good news is we can do something about that fact. We can control where our money goes and how long it stays in our community. So you know our stand dominated headlines. I mean, front pages, Washington Post, USA Today, Chicago Tribune, LA Times, all the big news networks, ABC News, CNN, MSNBC, everybody. All the black media outlets, of course, I love you so much, they covered our black year. I wrote a critically acclaimed book about our year, and it's a tribute to black business history. Kellogg, one of the best business schools in the world, did a landmark study based on our receipts. We tracked where our money went, and that study proved what we can do. I had the study focus on middle class and upper class black consumers, households with $75,000 in household income or more. If we were to increase our spending from the 2 to 3% where it is now, which is pathetic and embarrassing, to just 10%, y'all don't have to do what I did. 10% of your spending, we could create 1 million new jobs, 1 million new American jobs. Everybody's talking about jobs. We don't have to beg for jobs. We can create our own jobs. That's what the empowerment experiment proved. 7% on average increase in our spending. That's all we have to do. So after the year, after the press, the study, and the book, all of a sudden, Harold and his friends propped me up to become some kind of leader, some kind of activist. Now I'm this expert on self-help economics. An author. I'm speaking and keynoting and lecturing all over the globe about the empowerment experiment at events, new events you guys are creating just for us, for my family, to unite people, black and not, in a movement to empower black-owned businesses. From the streets to the suites, this is my life now. Folks like you are coming out to see this. Harold Epps picking up when I call, so you know I must be somebody. And now, I'm after the 1 million jobs. I want those 1 million jobs. My mission is not black America versus white America. I envision an America with all kinds of people going to our grocery stores, going to our hotels, finding and loving our products on the shelves at the mass retailers, depending on our professionals, and coming to us for culturally relevant products in our community, banking with us, staying at our hotels like we do everyone else. That's the America that I'm fighting for. The empowerment experiment can't get us there. That was about one couple taking a stand. But maybe Maggie's List can. We're here to talk about Maggie's List. I want to talk about us working together, supporting each other. But before I continue, I'd like to honor really quickly, because this is what I do, my sponsors and friends in Philadelphia. First and foremost, my heart and soul in Philly, Suleiman and UPPN. I love you so much. I can't come to Philly without Suleiman begging to help me, so thank you for everything you do. Omega Optical, thank you so much for sponsoring us tonight. You guys have to. Come on, we're getting old now. Most of y'all need glasses. Or even if you don't, or you know somebody that needs glasses, I'm going to buy my new glasses from Omega Optical. I promise. They just told me I need new glasses. Let me show y'all my speech. See how big this font is? That's because I'm trying to be cute and not wear my glasses. But next time I come to Philly, I will have my glasses on and I will get them from Omega Optical. I love you guys. They have been with me since the beginning, the very beginning. So many people, fair weather friends, Omega Optical has been with the empowerment experiment from the very beginning for at least 8 years now. Thank you, Omega Optical. Heritage Link Brands, I'm going to talk more about them later. For the wine, thank you so much. iSwap Networks, okay, come on. My partner, Broderick Byers, who leads the Maggie's List team, maggieslist.com is what we're talking about tonight. And please let me honor my team of talented entrepreneurs and experts who are bringing you Maggie's List. If you're here, please I was going to say all of you stand, but all of us are standing. Brian Moody, are you here? He didn't make it, that's right. Ben, is Ben here? Is Ben here? No? We have Steve, who has the camera in his hand. My sweetheart, Steve, who's been volunteering so much of his time and expertise to Maggie's List. He's in our Maggie's List team. Laura, I don't know if Laura's in the back. Laura, the newest member of the Maggie's List team. She's waving. See her pretty hand? She's handling publicity and PR. She's a big-time producer for ABC and CNN. She's on the Maggie's List team. I love you all. Really, you give my life and my life's work meaning. So thank you for believing in me and believing in us. This is about us. Maggie's List may bear my name because it's catchy and cute. That's all. It's not about me. It's about us. But it does bear my name just because it's catchy and it's cute. And we believe that Maggie's List can change the world. Just imagine the empowerment experiment. Everyone loves the empowerment experiment. The commitment, the spending, the businesses we showcase, the tracking of the money and how it impacted the businesses in the community. Imagine that scaled. That's what maggieslist.com wants to do. Maggie's List mission is to help everyday consumers find the businesses and live the life that I live. Black-owned banks, local black-owned businesses, your dry cleaners, your daycares, your car washes, coffee shops, stuff that you don't think about. The businesses that you don't know exist at the airport. The businesses that have black inputs. So Oreo cookies, did you know that the white stuff in the middle is made from a black firm, a wonderful black family that employs 200 people? Buy Oreo cookies. That's the kind of stuff that you're going to find at Maggie's List. Black-owned hotels, black-owned B&Bs, all these things that you don't think about. I will show you how to make sure that you put money back into our community every day. That's what Maggie's List does. And beyond that, Maggie's List is there to facilitate and track our movement, to put it out in the public that there is a new movement now today. Black people coming together, some not black, coming together to make sure that there is no more economic injustice in America. We are going to make sure that businesses start using our black MBEs, more engagement and development and opportunity for black suppliers and vendors and franchisees. None of that is going to happen unless there is an organized, national, consumer-based movement. They are not going to change because we tell them to. They're going to change because we make them change. And I'm proud to say that that's what I contribute to our cause. I'm the consumer part of the movement. I can't do what Suleiman does. I can't do what our fantastic chambers do. I can't do what the NMSDC does. But I can inspire my consumers because of what I did to put a little bit more money into our community, to proactively and proudly and publicly support black-owned businesses. And together, we can speak out for the MBEs to say and demand that if you want us to do business with you, you got to do business with us first. That's what Maggie's List is going to do. We're leading this conscious consumer movement, and Maggie's List is building a conscious consumerism network. Now, if you love the empowerment experiment, if you love me for what my family did, I need you to get behind Maggie's List. And if you won't do it for the entrepreneurs and the freedom fighters that were killed just because they were business owners, 90% of the black men that got lynched were lynched because they were business owners. If you won't do it for me because you're inspired by a stand, if you won't do it for people like Suleiman and Harold who literally give their life for black-owned businesses, if you won't do it for that child that has lost hope, who does not believe they can be a business owner in America, if you're not on fire about the chance to create 1 million jobs, then why don't you just do it to prove all those who disrespect and deny us wrong? Let's prove them wrong about what they say. Give you an example. Irvin J. Botner, he's the former CEO of Revlon, when asked about competition from black-owned firms in the black hair care industry. He was quoted 1986 in Newsweek. He said, 1986, in the next couple of years, the black-owned businesses would disappear. They'll all be sold to white companies. And he was right. We made him right. We made him right. It may feel racist, it may hurt like racism does, but it's no one's fault but our own. It actually started when, I think it was L'Oreal. L'Oreal put Diane Carroll in a commercial. I don't know how many are old enough to know Diane Carroll. They put her in a commercial and we were gone. We left our fantastic black-owned businesses. Think about it. Magic Shade, Dark and Lovely, Roots of Nature, Let's Jam, Spoken Waves, Carefree Curl, Motions, all those brands, the brands that only black people buy every day, are owned by L'Oreal, a company based out of France. And L'Oreal is making wonderful commercials with our pretty black people in them, putting our beautiful black people on the boxes and the kente cloth and the red, black, and green. But L'Oreal is not doing business with black firms. I do my research. I got just as much up here as I do in here. I got a JD and an MBA from the University of Chicago. President Barack Obama was my professor there. I'm smart. I'm smart. I don't just have my fist in the air, I got my book in hand. So I did my research and I found one. They have one black supplier. All those brands, all those billions that they make off of our consumers. One black supplier who worked for the company in France. So they got one black supplier in France who worked for the company. Now, there are tons of quality black MBEs that could do so much for L'Oreal. IT, printing, trucking, they can manufacture the inputs for the products. All those wonderful brands. There's something that black firms can do. But those guys don't live in France and they don't work for L'Oreal now. They have to find a way to find more black businesses. And we should know about them. That should be their marketing to us. They should be saying, do business with us because we do business with Alpha Office Supplies for our office supplies. We do business with Omega Optical. They should be able to say that. They don't say that now, but we shop with them anyway. Maggie's List is going to stop that. If you want us to do business with you, you got to do business with us. How is that okay? All those black brands, all those billions, and we're not doing anything about it. As a community, we let L'Oreal pimp us like that. Believe me, they are not an exception either in their exploitation. How is that going to change? There has to be a national, united, collective front of consumers and quality business owners who are proving we're willing to take stands, make changes, and make sacrifices to seek and support our community's businesses so that our community can be better. L'Oreal's mission statement can't change that. Its membership in NMSDC is not going to do that in and of itself. And all of us doing our own sites and events and programs is not going to help, is not going to change things one bit. We have to fight for transparency, for truth, for justice, for black-owned businesses as a national alliance together, doing exactly what I did in the empowerment experiment, taking a stand, making a sacrifice, speaking the truth, and asking questions. Let me give you one more anecdote. I asked the question. I asked Hennessy, and they won't tell how much money they make off black consumers. But again, I have just as much up here as I do in here, and I did my own research, and I learned that at least 60% of Hennessy's U.S. revenues come from black people. 60%. Then, after I exposed that truth, Wall Street Journal followed up with their own research, and they put it at above 80%. 80% of their money comes from us. And with their company, therefore, wholly dependent on us to survive, they don't even have a supplier diversity program. Meaning they don't even have the fake black-white handshake on the website trying to fool somebody, much less a practice to engage black distributors, black vendors, black suppliers, and advertise in black press. That is the truth. I'm trying to teach y'all something today. What the little one say, y'all gonna learn today. What's his name? What's his name? Kevin Hart. Y'all gonna learn today. I need y'all to know the truth about L'Oreal and Hennessy, but this is just me. Imagine how much more we can give you and tell you in Maggie's list. Now, Hennessy, they might donate to a couple of our black groups every once in a while. They use black rappers in their commercial. They might throw a couple of parties at a couple of conferences, but they're not doing business with us. With that kind of money, there should be Hennessy hospitals in Harlem. There should be a new chemistry lab at every HBCU, and Hennessy should have funded the new Maggie's List Black Business Economic Development Center in Philadelphia, and I should be teaching at it. Seriously though, 80% of their money, and we let that go? There should be large accounts at United Bank Philly. There should be large accounts at Industrial Bank, My Bank, Liberty Bank, One United 2. There should be at least a dozen Hennessy distributors and significant advertising in black-owned press. Let me ask you, Earl, how much of that money, how much of them Hennessy billions are you getting? Where's my sweetheart, Earl Harvey?
Right here.
Oh, I'm sorry, here you go. When I was recognizing my sponsors and friends, I left out my heart and soul, my second husband. I got permission to call you my second husband. My second husband, Earl Harvey, thank you. I love you so much, Black Professional News. And for the wonderful food we got tonight, I called Earl. I said, Earl, I can't find a sponsor for food. I can't have these people coming out here from 5:30 to 7:30 without any food. He said, I got you, and it was done. So please clap for my second husband, Earl Harvey. But the point is, because we don't ask and we don't talk about things, we don't take the next step and find alternatives in our community like Heritage Link brands that are here tonight. Harvard MBAs Selena and Carrie Cuff left their jobs at P&G to create this company when they went to the motherland and found that there's a $5 billion wine industry there. Less than 2% of that is represented by black-made wines. Now, my company, Heritage Link Brands, is the largest company in the wine industry to import and market Africa's black-made wines. House of Mandela is one of their wines. Madizukwe, Mandela's granddaughter, is the purveyor of House of Mandela. You can get these wines in America, 3,500 mainstream outlets. Maggie's List will show you how. Let me tell you this quick story about Heritage Link Brands. 7 sisters, what you're drinking tonight, these sisters had to leave the tranquility of their South Africa home because of apartheid. They came back 20 years later and celebrated their freedom and the beauty of Africa with these wines. One of the wines that they make, I don't think it's here tonight, is called Bukatrabe. I buy Bukatrabe in Jewel, my mainstream grocery store in Chicago. I buy a lot of Bukatrabe. I drink a lot of Bukatrabe because there's nothing that Maggie Anderson won't do for the movement. So if I gotta drink that wine, if I gotta buy that wine for my people, for them sisters, for Africa, I will do it. That's what I do for the motherland. This is what I do. I drink wine. This is what I do. I support black-owned businesses and I try to inspire others to do the same. Not drink wine. I just want to ask my friends in Philadelphia to help us scale the impact of what I do. let's ask the questions, let's spend collectively, and if we want, we can drink together too. Seriously, we need to get behind this movement. I hope I can get you to support Maggie's List. Get on Maggie's List, join as a consumer or business. We have to showcase our unity, sharp, proud, ready, and strong. I got a little bit more for you. I want you to think of this example. This is a perfect way for you to think about what we're going to do in Maggie's List. Remember them brothers who stood outside the hospital in Malcolm X, the movie Spike Lee? The Spike Lee movie. Remember when they stood outside the hospital? Malcolm was outside the hospital asking about the boy. They had just beat up this boy, and they got him from the police station, and he wanted to make sure that the boy is being looked after. Remember Denzel? When he said if that boy died, there would be trouble. Then the black doctor came out and assured him that the boy would live. He got his answer, and he got the justice that he deserved because the people were lined up behind him. And then Denzel did this. Wait, was it this, this, and this? Was that it? Yes. Remember he did that? No, you got it. You got it. But anyway, that's what will happen in Maggie's List. That's Harold at City Hall pointing to these fantastic businesses that need to be involved in government contracting. That's me showing off local businesses, showing off United Bank and the partners that do business with us, not just market to us. Like I point you to black agents at New York Life. Like I point you to black-owned McDonald's and Marriott's and Hilton's. That's what I do. But we have to be lined up and disciplined and committed. I can't do that. Harold can't do what he does if we are not united. We got to line up, we got to stand up like they did. I need my little girls to know that not only can they buy at Sears, that was the 50s and 60s, or work at Sears, we fought for that too. My children need to know that they can own Sears, or at least own products that Sears would be happy to sell. So maybe it's time we fight for that too. I know it's not going to be easy. I know I'm asking a lot of you. This movement is not easy. Making it my life, justifying it all with these small victories and pop-up gains. Still, my businesses, my banks, my chambers, they're still dying right in front of my eyes. And just as sure, our children are dying right in front of our eyes. We keep losing. Everything just keeps falling apart. So I wonder sometimes, was it worth it? The empowerment experiment. My husband, damn near losing his job. Death threats that still come to my house. The FBI is involved now. The horrible things they say about my children, still, they just put down a new N-word Die Anderson's website. They had to put that down. I dragged my family through this. I used to make tons of money in corporate, but I'm an activist now, and that's a huge financial sacrifice for my family. That whole year during the empowerment experiment, my mother was dying from pancreatic cancer. I should have been with her. I should have been helping Papa take care of her. She was dying. And I chose to fight for this instead of her. Her only daughter, and I wasn't there, the last year of her life, Luisa Maria Palacios, who taught me that our speaking Spanish and our being from Cuba didn't make us any less black or not black. Luisa said that just meant we got dropped off a little earlier. That's all. That was my Mima. And she's gone now. So what that I have this book, so what that my family made history. No matter how many times I share my story and the study, no matter how many times I share the research in the book, those businesses we lost ain't coming back, Mima ain't coming back, and my people are always going to be poor and powerless, right? Because that's what it feels like sometimes, right? Harold, don't it feel like that sometimes? Like we are just never going to get up. So I asked God, what else do I need to do? Because my people aren't making the changes, at least not as fast as we need. And when we do try, it just feels like we begging and bribing and cowering and kowtowing. We need something better than that. So what am I doing wrong? I asked, Lord. And you know what God said to me, Broderick? He said, this ain't about you, Maggie. This ain't about you. This ain't about your kids going without fresh food. This ain't about you sacrificing your mama. And I have blessed you. I blessed you by giving you the answer and letting you live it and feel it and suffer through it. I blessed you by letting you do that and teach it. I blessed you. And that's what I realized, that what I thought was a burden was actually a blessing. That's when I saw it. ...2015 was the last time I was here, and I will close with this testimony. I'm very proud that I've helped many black banks and businesses. I'm proud to be an activist. I'm proud of my own lifestyle, how I spend our money, and how I've raised my children. But I couldn't and can't do it without you. You are my strength, and let me prove it to you. Do y'all remember the last time I was here? Some of you were there. It was the end of 2015. And Suleiman knows this. I had just found out I was sick. I was real sick. And I found out a short while before that event. And it turns out the doctor said I had been sick for a while. But the symptoms had only showed up right as things started to improve with this movement. I just started a national tour where I was able to go to 20 cities specifically to drive support to local black-owned businesses, black press, and black banks. The tour is strictly designed for that. And there I was in baggage claim, coming home from Atlanta, where we had just done a fantastic event, and I got the call. I had taken some tests because my back was hurting, I was feeling some weakness, and the doctor said the results were back. I have adult onset muscular dystrophy. Those were a rough couple of weeks. Right after I found out, I started getting weaker and weaker. All of a sudden, I couldn't pick up things. I couldn't cook for my family. I couldn't get into the truck. I couldn't use the bathroom by myself. And since this was a genetic disease, there would be no cure. So I was set to just wither away into uselessness. And then I called my friend Eugene, who was my sponsor in this tour, bawling to tell him I was sick and I couldn't do it anymore. I told him the empowerment experiment is over. And Eugene said, no, Maggie, think about how much more you can do now. Think about how much more you can inspire and teach now. You have to do what you tell everyone else to do. You have to convert pain to power. Use your pain and turn it to power. Your testimony will change lives. Then to prove his faith and love for me, Eugene had me speak at this really big conference with all of the black insurance and financial professionals, big industry conference. My condition had worsened by then, and I couldn't get out of a chair by myself. I worried about people looking at me and pitying me, and somehow I was supposed to talk about victory and strength and success. It didn't make any sense to me. I had been running 4 miles a day less than 2 years ago. The doctors have now damned me to a wheelchair. Right when my dreams started to come true for this movement, right when my little babies were coming little ladies, everything that I'd been working for was crashing and crumbling right in front of me, and I was supposed to talk to these black business people about strength and about victory. But I did, and it was amazing. It was amazing. But this is the most important part of the story. This is the testimony. From that point on, really from the moment that they helped me off the stage, I was crying and embarrassed, they all came around me and they cried with me and they laid hands on me and they prayed for me. And I promise you, from that moment on, I've been getting stronger. I've been getting stronger. Look at me now. So I decided that we would still do the tour, and the first stop on the tour after I got sick was Philadelphia. Suleiman welcomed me here. He was so sweet. He didn't tell anyone I was sick. He just helped me up the stairs. I love you so much for that night, Suleiman. He just treated me like he always had. And since then, he's checked on me, texted me, called me, just to make sure I was okay. And after Philadelphia, there was Kansas City and D.C. and Detroit and Jacksonville and Birmingham and Cleveland and Greenville. Stronger every time. So do you see how this works now? I hope you're finally feeling it now. We have to lift up those who need it, even when we need lifting up ourselves. We have to sacrifice first, and I promise you, the strength will follow. That is how this works. So yes, they say I'm sick. According to the Zest, that this is degenerative. I'm supposed to be in a wheelchair. That's what they say. But God says, but I say, because of you, I am not sick. I am strong. Do you believe me when I say that? Do you believe that this movement heals? Do you believe that we have strength just in being together? Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Because I need some healing tonight. I'm supposed to go home stronger than when I left. Do you believe that I am strong even though they say I'm weak? Do you believe that of yourself, that you are strong, Omega, even though they say that you are weak? Do you believe that of us, that we are strong even though they say we are weak. If you really do believe that, I need you to take part in this movement. There are so many things you can do. Broderick will tell you, will teach you, will ask you for help. Don't ignore him. Don't go home and let this feeling that you have linger and die. Do something about it tonight. We need your help for Maggie's List to be a success. It is brought to you by the Empowerment Experiment Foundation, my 501c3. We're not trying to get rich off this. We are trying to scale the impact of the Empowerment Experiment. I need you for that. So please, let's not cry about Trayvon and the 4 little girls and Mima and all the terrible things that are happening in our community now. Cry about that. You can. But cry now, too, at the wonder of God, who would align us and unite us like this. Cry for that. Clap for that. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me share my story tonight. Thank you for coming. It really, really touches me that you got dressed and came out just to talk about supporting black-owned businesses. Thank you for making our first public announcement of Maggie's List. Thank you all for your support. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very looking forward to talking to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Was that powerful? Let's give it up one more time for Maggie Anderson, guys. And I want to make sure, before we leave here, just a few calls to action so we can be intentional about it. Number one is, how many of you in here are actually consumers? Let's raise your hand. Consumers. Everyone, right? 100%. And the reality is, 98% of our dollars are going outside of our community. 100% of the dollars outside of our community are not coming into our community. So basically, we're joining other communities to boycott our own businesses. And the reality is, we just have to be a little bit more intentional about doing some research sometimes, going out your way to make sure that we support our own businesses. How many of you actually own your own business? Just raise your hand. If people have the ability to buy from you, buy something from you, just raise your hand. So all of the consumers, look at yourself. Look at yourself and look at these business owners and find someone that you can support. Maggie talked about 10% of our dollars. If we just were intentional about 10% every month going towards a black-owned business, the impact that we can make collectively. Where is Mike Banks? Mike Banks. Is he still here? So Mike Banks is the CEO of the African American Chamber of Commerce in the city. So all the business owners, it's important that you become a member of the chamber. Does that make sense? You don't have to always ask, what are they going to do for me? They have a lot of great events, a lot of great programs, but it's more about your opportunity to have a unified voice. It's about the advocacy that they will do. So making sure you become a member to increase our voice in this city. Does that make sense? We have allies, people who are outside of our community who want to find out ways they can be supportive. Introduce them some businesses that they can support. Okay, some of us are in influential positions where you can make decisions. We're doing a board program where there's billions of dollars that are going through nonprofit organizations, really non-distribution of profit, but there's profit that's going through, to businesses, and we're talking about diversity and inclusion, how you can sit on a governance board and start to look at and be intentional about saying, who else, are we including all the businesses that could be potentially, that can respond to this RFP? Are we actually hiring leadership that looks like us? Does that make sense? In companies, you're in positions where you can actually be influencers as well. So become a member of the chamber, do business in Maggie's List. Make sure you go to Maggie's List. Not only should you go there as a consumer to find businesses, but also as a business owner, upload your information on there so we can have that information, and then also see Broderick about other upgrades and things of that sort as well, where you can actually support, again, a black-owned business that's actually helping a larger community. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And last but not least, and we have just some giants in the room. You heard from Harold Epps. I saw also a gentleman who I consider a mentor and a giant in this city, Mr. George Burrell, who's back here as well, always advocating for businesses and the next generation of businesses as well. And I love this story. It's a story of a little boy who's pulling his wagon up the hill. He's pulling his wagon. He's with his father, and he's pulling his wagon. And his father sees him getting fatigued, and he's slowing down. His father says, "Son, use all your strength." And he's pulling the wagon, he's slowing down even more. And his father again says, "Son, use all your strength." And he's pulling, and eventually he comes to a standstill. The little boy can't pull a wagon anymore. And his father says one more time, son, use all your strength. And his son says, Dad, I am using all my strength. I can't pull it anymore. And he says, no, you're not using all your strength because you never asked me to help you. Wow. So my point is, you have people in organizations and institutions that are looking to help. You got to use all your strength first, but also reach out and find out where you can actually connect with organizations, the Office of Economic Opportunity, African American Chamber of Commerce, Maggie's List, all these different resources to make sure you elevate and make sure that you increase your power and use all your strength. Does that make sense? And we have strength in this room when we collectively come together and network together and find out how we can support each other or even offer some good recommendations or referrals. Good enough? All right. Continue to network and have a good night. Thank you.